my name's Jeff Lilly, live in Hartlepool lad. How did it all start? Just about every single morning I walk my dogs on Seaton Beach. It's part of my just keeping happy routine. So I'm always down real early in the morning, usually about 6. And about 5 years ago, some mornings, especially in the summer, the sea is so absolutely inviting, flat, calm, lovely, sunny mornings. You just think, oh. So if it's a nice morning, to tell you the truth, sometimes I haven't even got a swimming costume, but I just go in and have a swim. So with Facebook being the way it is, I'd say, I had a great swim, just fresh out of the water, just had a great swim. What a beautiful way to start the day, because Seaton's a lovely place. So a person who is now a very good friend, Sid Bell, posted, "I'd love to go swimming, Jeff. Do you mind if I join you?" Because she's a woman. For a woman, it's difficult sometimes, isn't it? So I said, "Oh no, I'd enjoy the company." So we used to swim quite between the North Car and the big car park, so it was quite remote, quiet, which helps if you haven't always got a swimming costume. So we used to just go and have a swim together most mornings, just a pleasant way to start the day. And then just a few, and posting online, then a few people sort of, can I join you? Before you know where you are, there's half a dozen. Very social thing, it's on so many levels. And then it was obvious that being halfway along the sand dunes was difficult for some people, so we changed venue to by the Norton Hotel where we are now. And then it just grew from there, because obviously people see you in the water, and then of course lockdown. A lot of people had a lot of spare time come lockdown, and a lot of isolation. So being able to come down for a swim in the morning got round that sort of social isolation, because you were socially distanced, but you were socially together. And a lot of good friendships and nice relationships were formed during that. So it's really all just developed from there on so many levels.
So I have always wanted to do open water swimming for as far back as about 2016-ish. Never found anybody who would do it with me. And then it was mainly because I had difficulties staying in the house at weekends, so I needed to be away quite a lot. So we bought a motorhome, we went away, and I fell in love with the countryside and water, and then the idea of going in the water kind of stemmed from there. And then we fast forward to lockdown, where I wasn't allowed to leave the house at weekends, and anxieties grew. And one of my neighbours had said about Jeff and this other group of people that used to swim, and I messaged him and I arranged to meet Jeff, never known who he was, never seen him before, and we went to the Sandy Lane car park, and I ran from the car with a white dressing gown on, with my hair all over, running down the beach because I was a little bit late, not knowing what to expect. And then I just stopped dead in my tracks, and I just thought, I have no idea who I'm meeting. Nobody knows where I am either. And then this big hulk of a man was walking his dog, and obviously I was very noticeable in a white dressing gown running down the beach, and he just shouted over, "You must be Sid." And I just went, "Oh dear, I'm stuck now." And he said, "If you go to the log down in the sand dunes, I'll meet you there, and then we'll go for a swim." And that was in the September of 2020. And so off we went, and we went in for a swim. And when I came out, he was doing a video, and he did this video, and he went, "And here she comes, coming out of the sea like Ursula undress, Jeff." And I'm like, no, I'm not a Bond girl. So, and then I met him most days after that at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I went to work. But going in on that first time, and the sea was really calm, and it was a nice location, and it was wasn't bitey cold, but when you've not done it before, it was really quite chilly, and I was in for about 10 or 15 minutes and I came out and I just felt totally exhilarated. I was on a high all day. We had a proper giggle. It was like going back to being a child, even though I didn't do swimming in the sea when I was a child. And so we met quite a lot, and then we decided that we went over to Seaton once to swim, and I said I don't like the location, didn't like anything to do with the getting onto the beach, getting off the beach. And people started asking a bit more about us, and so we moved down the beach to where we are now at the steps opposite the green. And then in about the October, a young girl called Charlotte burst onto the scene, redhead, full of life, and I swam with her one night, me and her, and then she just said, I'm going to start a group. So she started the Seaton Carew Sea Swimmers. She doesn't do much on the site, on the forum, and she made me and Jeff admins. So we quickly kind of changed the name to Brass Monkeys. But within the lockdown period, when you weren't allowed to meet anybody, we also set up a messenger group, and then there became a hardcore of about 6 or 7 of us. We used to swim. There would be Michelle and Shell and Scott. So there was a few of us would meet, and Chris. And so we set this little group up so that we could do our social distancing. Nobody knew what we were doing, and we all just happened to turn up every morning, 8 o'clock, and have a swim, and that was our exercise for the day. But it just grew, and we all thought in the winter we would not do it again, but we did.
When I started going in, it was purely and simply no ifs or buts. It was just for the cold exposure. But then you discover the magic of connection, and the Brass Monkeys are an incredibly disparate group of people, and that's one of the beauties. I think it's a church that people can feel comfortable in. Whatever you bring is who you are, and it's accepted. Certainly body shapes don't give anybody issues. And what's been, I think, one of the best things that's come out of the pandemic is the willingness to be more open about mental health. And almost without exception, the majority of people in there understand that it gives them a mental shot, improves the resilience, but there's also the physical ones, which are very, very, very profound. Cardiovascular fitness, as a brilliant Wim Hof says, we've got 100,000 kilometres of capillaries, arteries and veins. We are not in an environment that we should be in, central heating. Little tip for children, don't put a coat on a kid, take the coat off, because that massages everything. And it's anecdotal, but there's a whole range of different support sources for this. Cold exposure has a direct link to Alzheimer's and dementia. Don't take it from me, but it makes a massive difference.
You've got so many sides to this. You've got the actual swimming part of it. So, for example, in the summer when it's nice and people are staying for 20, 30 minutes and more and really enjoying it and have a nice chat. You know, it's just a pleasant thing, or you can have a really good long swim, lovely calm day, nothing better, or a nice bouncy bit of sea, which you really enjoy, and of course then you get the opportunities for bodyboarding, so people are flying down, and of course there's always the whoa as you fall off. Or just the sheer joy of feeling swept along by this wave. It's absolutely joyous, and a thing that people share bodyboards, you know. I've 5 goes on here, you have a go on. So it's very much a shared thing. But then you get to the winter and the hardcore, but it's so difficult to explain that kick you get from that real cold feeling. I don't think it's easy to explain. You know it when you feel it. And getting the shoulders under, you know, that's the big thing. Just get your shoulders under and start to swim.
So when you're going in the sea and the outside temperature is about -5, and then the sea temperature is only about 3 degrees, and you're walking down the sand and your feet are freezing anyway, because I don't use any neoprene socks or gloves. So I feel the whole sensation of going down, and the first time you put your foot into the sea and you feel the coldness of it, and then you just do more and more steps and you just feel a tingle, and it kind of goes from freezing cold to a bit of a stinging sensation. But then that stinging sensation just envelopes your body, and then you kind of have to, you take a big deep breath. But the first you kind of go in and you're aware it's going to be cold, but for some bizarre reason it makes you want to laugh, and you end up giggling as a wave hits you and you feel a stinging cold and you scream, but then you just burst into giggles. And it's so bizarre, because you are freezing cold, the water is freezing cold, and yet it's the most natural thing in the world to sit and stand in the water and swim around and have these conversations with all these other people who are doing exactly the same as you. And you question yourself sometimes, because you can feel your fingers are going cold, your toes are going cold, but you're warm inside. And then you come out, and we call it the sea tan. So you come out and your skin is red raw, tingling all over, but like it just fires your synapses off in your head, and you're just on a high. It releases so many happy endorphins. It's a weird sensation, and some people, you know, like myself, go in every single day. It's very, very addictive.
It feels you're part of it, and part of it. With open water swimming, especially sea swimming, you're part of it in a much bigger way. You feel the waves, you feel the wind, you see the sunrise, because most of the year we celebrate all the events, the solstices, the equinoxes. We celebrate them and embrace them, especially the summer one. We really embrace it. But birds flying overhead, just to be swimming and have guillemots, razorbills next to you, fishing, to see little sand eels in the water, which often happens in the summer, brilliant. Seals, most people have had really good experiences with seals close by at Seaton Carew, and then from sort of mid-May going through to, well, I saw them the other day, but usually from mid-May to about September, dolphins. Don't see them all the time, but when you see them, wow.
I kind of liken it sometimes when it's really cold as a bit like self-harm, only you don't have the pain of or scars or anything else like that. You go in and you feel everything, and you can release all the tension that you've got, anything that's preying on your mind. If you've had a rough day at work, you can go in on a night. If you get up in the morning, it sets you up for the day. And it is a bit like self-harm, because you come out and you're really red raw, but then you've got this beautiful skin afterwards, and you've got a really happy place to be in. And when you're in the water and you're setting up some friendship groups, it's kind of a bit like you're having conversations. It's like therapy, and you really take time to get to know the people. You're in there together, and it's not that passing conversation of, are you all right? Yeah, and you just continue walking. You're in there, and you can understand other people. You understand where they've come from. You're listening to their conversations. You remember, and the fact that you remember somebody the next time, and you say, oh, how's so-and-so doing today? And the joy in their face that somebody's listened, and then you've come back and you've had a conversation. So the healing properties for that has been really beneficial for many, many people.
I was out swimming once, and I swam past the waves just to have a swim, and I was coming back in out my depth like a big pudding that I am. I don't do that now. And one big breaker got me, second breaker got me, third one, I thought, if there's a fourth one, really, if there's a fourth one, I've had it. And we look out for each other, very much so. And if we see somebody going too far out, we'll always ask them to come back, because it's about group safety. Everybody's safety is the group safety. But Seaton tends to be a very kind beach, you know. We're not troubled with, usually we're not troubled with riptides. It's very predictable. However, there's a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times, when it's caught us out, and before you know where you are, 2 or 3 swimmers are getting carried out at quite a speed, and it's scary to see. And we use tow floats a lot, not just for your own safety, but for the safety if you've got to swim out to somebody, you know, it helps to pull them back in or just give them support. But when you get caught in a rip, everybody knows what to do. Swim to the side, you know, don't fight against it, swim to the side, you know, get out of it. And it's happened to me, but the panic sets in. And you, before you know where you are, you're wearing yourself out trying to get back in instead of doing what you should do. But luckily, we've only had a few, maybe 2 or 3 bad experiences, and nobody's come to any harm.
But I think for the men in our group who have started the swimming, who haven't really had female friends before, they now understand that you can have a friendship with a girl without it being anything else, because you literally go in with a swimsuit on, there's no makeup, there's no agenda. And you're in there freezing cold, having a laugh, but listening to each other. And I think the awareness for a lot of men who've never had females as friends before has been really good. And a lot of the men who have come, and they'll talk about their being in recovery for different things, they'll talk about their mental health, and men don't do that as easy as girls. but they'll talk to the men and they'll talk to the women, and it kind of, the group is so supportive of everybody else. Yet every day you go down and you just go, like, takes your breath away. You do a bit breathing, you go in, and once you've put your shoulders under the water, and it's just the release that you get from doing that. It's a joy, absolute joy.
Every now and again we'll have a big fire, and just to gather round after a swim around a big fire. And we've formed a ukulele group. There's a few come down with ukes and a bit of music. That's part of the absolute, the way it spreads out. And the fact that we go for meals together, the fact that we had a ceilidh in about November, great ceilidh, one of the swimmers plays fiddle in a ceilidh band. It brings people together in a way that, and our Christmas party was a karaoke. Now what you need in a karaoke, good karaoke night, is terrible singers. And we had an absolute plethora of shite singers. But it brings that, just, it's like the cement, the glue, that just puts the layers there, and those lovely layers of relationships that just make a much better whole, if you know what I mean.
Well, there's a group of folks I know, while they go swimming in the snow. They're in the briny sea most every day. Be the weather fair or rough, they'll be stripping off their stuff and swim where only polar bears should go. Oh, there's many a strange to do off the beach at Seaton Carew. Wobbly bits of man boobs I have seen. I've seen brass monkeys and blue tits, heard them singing Tom Jones's hits, but everybody's happy in the sea. If you take a trip from me while you're swimming in the sea, keep your shorter fastened round your waist. Tripping off can be good fun till the jellyfish stings your knee, your bum. You'll be crying or leave the swelling, but take away the pain. Oh, a tree doesn't make you fat. You can wear a silly woolly hat. You can wear a wetsuit if you really must. If you really are all that, you'll become a dry rope twat while swimming where only polar bears should go. There's a group of folks I know, they go swimming in the snow. They're in the briny sea most every day. Be the weather fair or rough,